Hey everybody, Mr. Wyatt here. And this past week, Mr. Thorson's been showing you how to work with fractions and mixed numbers, how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide them. And today, well, first of all, I'm sure you probably have noticed I'm not wearing a tie today. Well, I don't want it to become too plaid, but I do want you to know that I still care about you and you still matter. Okay, so anyway, let's take a look here. Today we are looking at fractions and mixed numbers, and we're mixing them all up today. Some adding, some subtracting, some multiplying, and some dividing. And so it's going to be really, really important that we're always paying attention to the operation symbol. All right, I mean, you don't start out on a trip and start to drive until you've looked at a map. You need to know where you're going. I mean, you don't hammer that first nail until you've drawn up your plans for your new house. I mean, you don't start sifting the flour until you've checked out the recipe, right? Well, okay, I think you get the point. So we always want to make sure we look at our problems and that we know what are we going to be doing? Are we going to add, subtract, multiply, and divide? Once once we know that, then we can move forward and decide, well, what is it that I need to do? What are the rules I need to follow? So take a look at this example here. Excuse me. And you're going to see the problems are written out similarly to how you will see them in the Google Forms. This first example, it says 4 2/3 times 1 4/7. See how I've put a little space here and over here as well. So you know it isn't 42/3 and it's not 14/7. It's 4. That's a whole number 4. And 2/3, that's a fractional part attached to it, times 1, that's the whole number 1, and then the fractional portion 4/7 attached to the end of it. Okay, so if it helps you, it might be good right away just to rewrite this. 4 2/3 times 1 4/7. You always do want to show your work on a piece of scratch paper, all right? And your teacher may require you to take a picture of your work and attach it to your assignment when you submit it in Google Classroom. That's what I'll be requiring in my room, so hopefully the other teachers will do the same. And see, once it is written like this, once I've handwritten it like this, it's a little bit easier for me to go around the horn and change these into improper fractions. Remember, whenever you multiply or whenever you divide mixed numbers, you need to change them into improper fractions as your first step. You wouldn't have to do that when adding or subtracting, but you definitely need to do that when you multiply or divide. So let's go ahead and do that here. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. And then we put that over the denominator of 3. So we have 14/3 times, again, we're paying attention to the fact that we're multiplying here. And then I'll do this, go around the horn on this one too. 7 times 1 is 7. Add 4, that's 11. And we put that over the denominator here of 7. All right, so now they are written as improper fractions. And you can go ahead and multiply these right now, but then you're going to have to do some simplifying and you'll have to change the result back into a mixed number. It's going to be easier to do the simplifying first while the fractions are pulled apart and all vulnerable. Okay, so what I notice right away is I do have a 7 here in the denominator and a 14 here in the numerator. And you know what? The greatest common factor of those two numbers is 7. This is why we learn about GCFs, or greatest common factors. 7 goes into 7 once, it goes into 14. Oh, I got a mess here. It goes into 14 twice. Okay, and I don't see anything else here that I can simplify. The 3 and the 2, nothing I can do. 3 and 11, nothing I can do there either. So now I can multiply across the numerators. 2 times 11 is 22 over 3 times 1, which is 3. Hey, the big work is done. Now I just have to convert this back into a mixed number by dividing 22 by 3. All fractions are division problems. That's what a division symbol is. You have a fraction bar here, And the two dots represent your dividend and your divisor, the numbers that you're actually dividing. Okay, so we have 22, we're dividing by 3. And this will be quick. 3 times 7 is 21. I have a remainder of 1. So it's 7, and then you put the remainder over the divisor. So we have 7 and 1/3. Okay? So you see I did show a fair amount of work here, but it didn't take very long. We just have to take the time to do it. Let's look at our next example. We have 6 minus 3 and 5/8. First thing I notice is it's a subtraction problem. I don't need to change these into improper fractions in order to subtract them. I can leave them as mixed numbers. So I have 6, and then underneath that I'll write minus 3 and 5/8. Now you're probably noticing we have a little bit of an issue here because 6 is a whole number. So what I need to do is rename it. Instead of 6, I'm going to take one whole away and make that 5. And then I can put that whole back in at the back end here and just call it 8/8. Now, 8/8 is one whole, but why did I choose 8/8 instead of 5/5 or 13/13 or whatever? Well, I chose 8/8 because I need the same denominator as I have in this second number, which is 5/8. So I need that 8 there. So now I have 5 and 8/8 minus 3 and 5/8. And I think you'll notice now the subtraction is pretty easy. 8/8 minus 5/8 is 3/8. 5 minus 3 is 2. So we get 2 and 3/8 for our answer. You can always check your answers, by the way, when you're done. In this case, you could take 2 and 3/8, add it to 3 and 5/8, and see if it ends up equaling 6. It'll be 5 and 8/8, which is 6 whole. So 2 and 3/8 is our answer there. All right, next example, I have 3 and 3/4 plus 2 and 1/6. All right, again, I'm going to rewrite this. I do not need to make these into improper fractions because, well, I'm not multiplying and I'm not dividing, I'm adding. So I'm just going to stack them, 3 and 3/4 plus 2 and 1/6. And so now I'm going to add these together, but I can't until I rewrite these so they have the same denominator. So I'm looking at 4, I'm looking at 6, and I'm trying to find the least common multiple here. What's the smallest number that both 4 and 6 go into nicely? And that's 12. So we're going to rename these 3 and something over 12 plus, and then this one I'll rename 2 and something over 12. See, I can write a lot down here before I actually find the equivalent fractions to place on the end here. So now to get from 3/4 to having it out of 12, to get from 4 to 12, you must multiply by 3. So let's do that to the numerator and take 3 times 3, and that gives us 9 here. And to get from 1/6 to having it written over 12, 6 times 2 is 12. So I'm going to take 1 times 2, and I get a numerator of 2/12. You can always go back and watch these examples again if I'm going a little bit too quickly for you. All right, so anyway, 9/12 we're adding, plus 2/12 is 11/12. Honestly, when I'm solving problems with fractions and mixed numbers, I frequently, it's not unusual. I will frequently look back to remind myself, well, what am I doing? Am I adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? That's the most important thing, to know what we're doing. So don't be afraid to keep glancing back to remind yourself, well, what kind of problem is this? And this is an addition problem. So 9/12 plus 2/12 is 11/12. 3 plus 2 is 5. And this is already in simplest terms. I mean, 11/12, we can't simplify that. So we're done. 5 and 11/12. I think I'll shoot over here to the right. I have 3 and 1/9 minus 2 and 1/12. Again, first thing we need to check out is, what are we doing? And we're subtracting. So again, I can leave these as mixed numbers, but I'm going to stack them. 3 and 1/9 minus 2 and 1/2. I don't need to make them into improper fractions. because I'm not multiplying and I'm not dividing. I'm subtracting. Now, to subtract these, I do need a common denominator again, and the least common denominator, which is the least common multiple of these two denominators, would be 18. So let's go ahead and rewrite this as 3 and something over 18, and this one as 2 and something over 18. And we are subtracting. Okay, so 1/9 becomes 2/18. Why? Because 9 times 2 is 18, and then up here, 1 times 2 is 2. And then 1/2, 2 times 9 is 18, 1 times 9 is 9. All right, so now I can go ahead and subtract these. So I take 2/18 minus 9/18. Uh-oh, 2 is smaller than 9. I can't subtract those without going into the negatives. And so I need to do some renaming again here. And so I'll take one whole away from the 3 and make that 2. But I have to put it back in back here. That one whole is 18/18. Add that to the 2/18 that are already there, and you have 20/18. The shortcut is you can just take the denominator and the numerator, add them together to get your new numerator of 20 over 18. Now when we subtract 2 and 9/18, you're going to see it works out well. So we had to do a little renaming here, and then we had to do some renaming again. And now I can subtract 20 minus 9 is 11/18. 2 minus 2 is 0, so my answer is simply 11/18, and that is fully simplified since 11 and 18 don't have any common factors other than 1. One more example. We have 1 4/9 divided by 4. So what I need to do here is, first of all, I don't want any mixed numbers. It's a division problem. Whenever we multiply or divide, we write all of our mixed numbers, all of our whole numbers as improper fractions. So anyway, let me rewrite this. 1 4/9. It'll make it easier when I go around the horn. Divided by 4 over 1, which is how you write a whole number as a fraction. Just put it over 1. Now, 9 times 1 is 9, plus 4 is 13. Put that over our denominator of 9. So 13/9 divided by 4 over 1. Now, how do you divide by a fraction? Well, you multiply by the reciprocal of this second fraction. So I'm going to rewrite this as 13 over 9 times, I can use a dot for my times sign too, 1 over 4. Instead of 4 over 1, I write its reciprocal, 1 over 4, and now I have a multiplication problem. Can I do any simplifying? Do 4 and 13 have any common factors other than 1? Nope. How about 9 and 13? No. So I'll just multiply. 13 times 1 is 13 over 9 times 4, which is 36. Hey, we're done. 13 over 36 is my answer on that one. All right, so today you will get an assignment where the problems are mixed together, some adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. So pay attention to the operation symbol and make sure you are following the right rules for that type of problem. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a nice day.